Hello everybody, my name is Roger and welcome to my channel, Rogers Reads. So today I'm doing another book review, and it's a book that just recently came out, and it's entitled The Binding by Bridget Collins. First of all, I want to point out how beautiful this book is. I love the cover with embossed designs in the front, but it's the inside of the book that's real, I should say the actual hardcover book that's really gorgeous with gold embossing. Isn't that beautiful? So the story, The Binding, follows a young man named Emmett Farmer who is recovering from a strange illness of which nobody knows the cause. And though he's trying to be helpful in his father's fields, his strength, stamina, and usefulness are really only a shadow of what they once were, as he continues to suffer bouts of dizziness, nausea, and a general weakness. So one day, a strange letter arrives from a well-known bookbinder named Meredith, requesting that Emmett become her apprentice. Now, in this world, a bookbinder is not someone who merely stitches together pages of a book, but rather, bookbinders are feared, hated, and treated with suspicion. Some people call them witches, because what they do is remove portions of a person's memory and then bind those memories in elegant leather-bound books. So people go to bookbinders to remove those memories that cause them pain, cause them grief, or as a matter to hide a dark secret to make sure that it never gets out. So do you want to forget something? Go to a bookbinder. Do you have secrets or an embarrassing mistake or a dark past that you want removed from your memory? A bookbinder can fix you right up. Is there pain or grief from a loved one that is so great that you simply cannot live with it? A bookbinder can remove it all for you. And once you've been bound, you completely forget that you've been bound. Now, the books that are created from these memories have the power to change or destroy lives should they ever fall into the wrong hands. And what happens if those books are ever destroyed? Well, all the memories in the book come immediately rushing back to their originator, which could have some quite disturbing consequences depending on the reasons for getting your memories removed in the first place. So, as Emmett learns from Meredith, his new mentor, bookbinders aren't made, they're born. That is to say, bookbinding is part of who you are. It's in your blood. You know, for as long as Emmett can remember, he's been strangely drawn to books, even though his father has strictly forbidden them. His new mentor tells him that bookbinding is a sacred vocation and informs him that the reason that he felt such an affinity for books is that he is what's called binder born, which was also the cause of his illness. But now that Emmett is working with books and fulfilling his destiny, his illness abates and he finds kind of a peace working in the workshop. Now, this is one of those novels where you can't say too much without giving anything away. I went into this book completely blind, not even having an inkling of the plot, and I am so glad I did because the surprises are worth it. Let me just say that not all bookbinders are of the high moral caliber as Meredith, and there are definitely some bad apples out there. Some of them are in it just for the money, and some even stoop so low as to illicitly sell these books of memories on the market to make a profit. Eventually, Emmett unwillingly becomes involved with some of these less scrupulous bookbinders and ends up having to make some really tough decisions. It's also worth mentioning that the art of bookbinding is abused by some of the more dodgy characters in the book, leading to some powerful and heart-wrenching scenes. For instance, I found it genuinely chilling that memories from a rape victim can be wiped clean, allowing the perpetrator to walk away unpunished. So Emmett soon finds himself plunged into a world of wealth, abuse, cruelty, depravity, and deception. So the book is told in 3 parts. So the first part follows Emmett's story in the present as he is summoned by the bookbinder and begins his apprenticeship. So it's in this part of the book where we learn the truth about what bookbinding actually is. I found this section especially riveting as we're introduced to the somewhat unsettling and macabre world of bookbinding. So part 2 of the story brings us into the past, but prior to Emmett's illness, before Emmett knew who or what he was. So here we're integrated into Emmett's daily life on the farm and see all of the events that led to Emmett's illness and his subsequent summons by the elderly bookbinder. So initially, I found this abrupt change in direction from the first part of the book a little bit jarring because I didn't understand the purpose of this section and how it related to the story that we've been told thus far. But then all of the pieces begin to fall into place, leading to a delightful aha moment. So in part 3, we return to the present day, but interestingly, we are no longer experiencing the story through Emmett's eyes as we did the first 2 parts of the book, but instead through the eyes of someone else. And I found this section just as beautiful and compelling as the previous ones. So all in all, The Binding is a beautiful, atmospheric, and haunting story that I found to be a remarkable read. I adored the intriguing and frightening premise of this fantasy world where portions of a person's memories can be removed and be preserved for safekeeping in books. I thought this concept was absolutely mind-blowing. It was so imaginative, so original and clever. This was one of those books that stuck its hooks into me right from the beginning, and I didn't want to let go of the story's finish. This was a truly captivating story that I did not want to end. Now, though the world of the binders is fascinating and the whole concept behind bookbinding, really the heart of this story lies in the beautifully woven yet forbidden romance of 2 desperate souls who find themselves caught up in the dark and cruel machinations of the others around them. So this story wrecked me in the best and most unexpected ways. It hit me right in the heart, and I'm still thinking about it many days later. So in this way, it's an incredibly profound and shattering story. This book certainly raises some interesting questions and made me wonder how many of us would pay a visit to a bookbinder to get some of those painful or embarrassing memories permanently removed, thus creating a new story for ourselves in the process. Quite an interesting concept, to be sure. So yeah, The Binding is a unique, haunting, and beautifully written, multi-layered novel that's really unlike anything I've read before, and I completely fell in love with this story. The author created such a vivid and realistic world here that at times I forgot that I was reading fantasy. So yeah, all in all, this was a solid 5-star read for me, and I'm already thinking about giving this one a reread, because I would definitely love to delve into this world once again. So that is my review for The Binding. As always, I thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate all of your support. And if you liked this video, I'd really appreciate it if you click the like button below, as that really helps me out. And that'll about do it for this time. I'll talk to you in the next video. Roger and out. Ooh.